Hello and welcome to Get Great at Maths. Today's video is from the GCSE Mathematics OCR J560 exam paper, June 2022, higher tier, paper 4, and we're looking at question 17, which is on the calculator exam paper. And question 17 is a question to do with conditional probability in tree diagrams, and this question is worth 4 marks. Make sure you read the question carefully so you understand exactly what you have got to work out as you go along. Now in this question we've got 15 sweets in the bag and 10 of the sweets are toffee and 5 are mint. Now Reese takes 2 of the sweets at random and we've got to work out the probability that he takes 1 of each type. Okay, so this is the key bit, we've got to find 1 of each type of sweet. Okay, now the easiest way to do this is visually by using a tree diagram to show you exactly what is going on. And when we use a tree diagram, we literally start out by having different strands. And within a key diagram, we have got some key words. The word and means multiply, and the word or means add. Now, if I look at my first strand, this is basically, I've got my bag of sweets, and I'm going to pick out a sweet. So I can either pick out a toffee, so T represents toffee, or I could pick out a mint, where M represents mint. Now for toffees, I have got 10 of those toffees in the bag, which means 10 out of 15 are going to be toffees. Now that fraction does cancel down, but we're not going to bother cancelling it down because it just makes it easier when it comes to the end when we have to add, because our denominators will be the same. Which means mint, there are 5 of them, and then we have got 15 in total. So those probabilities are fairly straightforward. Now the next probabilities become slightly more difficult. So I've had my bag of sweets, I'm going to take out a toffee. So I'm looking on the top strand, I've taken out a toffee. Now Reese is going to pick out a different sweet. Okay. Now when he picks out a different sweet, there are only 14 sweets left in the bag. And if he's already picked out a toffee, okay, then there were 10 toffees before, so now there are only 9 toffees left. So we've now got 9 out of 14 for my second pull out, which gives you a mark for spotting that you're going out of 14. So these have not been replaced. If it says in the question that it's replaced, the denominator will be the same on both strands. But here there is no mention of the word replacement, so we are taking one out and one's been eaten. Now there were 10 toffees. Now there are only 9 toffees, but there are still 5 mints. So that means there are 5 out of 14 mint. We're now going to go back and restart the whole process again, and we're going to think about what happens with the mint. Okay, so I've got 15 sweets in the bag. I've now pulled out a mint sweet, and the probability of doing that was 5 out of 15. Now I can pull another sweet out, which will either be a toffee or a mint again. But this time when I pick out a toffee, okay, I've only picked out a mint so far, so there are still 10 toffees in the bag. So there are going to be 10 out of the 14 toffees that are left in the bag for toffee. And then for mint, I've taken a mint out on the first try. And then there are 1 less mint. So there's only going to be 4 mints out of the 14. And this gives me my probability for the mint. Now we've got to work out the probability that he takes 1 of each type. So I need to look along the strands to work out what the different options are. So I could have a toffee and a toffee. Now the P with the brackets means the probability. So I could work out the probability of getting a toffee and a toffee. I could work out the probability of getting a toffee and a mint. I could work out the probability of getting a mint then a toffee. Or I could work out the probability of getting a mint and a mint. Now I want to work out the probability of 1 of each type. So I want different ones. So I want a toffee and a mint, or I want a mint and a toffee. So to get a toffee and a mint, I start at the beginning and I come along my toffee strand, and then I come along my mint strand down here, which gives me the probability of a toffee and a mint. So I've got to multiply those two probabilities, the 10 over 15 and the 5 over 14. If I multiply those together, that will give me 50 over 210. Remember, you just multiply the numerators, so 10 times 5 is the 50, and the 15 times the 14 is 210, and that gives you a mark. We're going to do a similar thing now the opposite way round for a mint followed by a toffee. So for a mint followed by a toffee, we're going to have 5 over 15 times by 10 over 14. Multiply your numerators and multiply your denominators again. So 5 times 10 in the numerator is 50, and 15 times 14 is 210 in the denominator. Now we want to know the probability that he takes one of each sweet. So you could have a toffee and a mint, or a mint and a toffee. So remember the key words, the word and, which is why we've multiplied earlier. So we've already done the multiply. Now we've got these two options and it is one or the other. So we're now going to add those two answers together because this is the word or. So 50 over 210 plus 50 over 210 for 1 mark. Then add the numerators. Remember the denominator stays the same, which gives me 100 over 210, which cancels down to 10 over 21, just taking a 0 off the end of each or dividing by 10. So we have got the 4 marks there, so you can see where the 4 marks have come from. The mark scheme says the answer is 100 over 210. OE means or equivalent. This was worth a total of 4 marks. So you can see you got B1, which is a method mark for getting either 9 over 14 or 5 over 14, or any of those fractions over 14 in the second strands. A method mark for getting 10 over 15 times by 5 over 14, or the opposite way round, depending on which strand you went along. Then you've got a method mark for doing 2 times by your 50 over 210, or we added them rather than doing it as a product. And that's where your 4 marks came from on the mark scheme. You can see over on the right hand side they are allowing common equivalents for 4 marks, so you can use decimals. They have even allowed percentages on this question. I would not recommend using percentages because normally on a probability question they don't like percentages, and it does condone the answer 0.48 for evidence with showing some correct working. Okay, so you do need to show your working out. If you got the answer 100 over 225, you can get 2 marks. If you got 50 over 225, you can get 1 mark. Thanks for listening. This was another video done by Get Great at Maths. If you enjoyed this, please click like and subscribe to see more. Thanks for listening.